Welcome to the Powell Bros Movie Reviews. I am Tobiah Powell, one of your hosts, joined with Trent Powell, the other host. How are you
Hello.
doing today?
Doing great. Always
Cool, cool.
excited to review another movie.
Yeah. This will be a fun one. This is actually X-Men Origins Wolverine. I know you guys were
What?
expecting X-Men Apocalypse because that's what we said in the episode prior,
Yep.
but my fault. I forgot that there was major time jumps between First Class, Apocalypse,
And
and
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. So this one takes place. X-Men Origins takes place in 1979, which is just when did First Class take place? Early
It was in the
70s.
It was late 60s.
60s, late
Yeah.
60s. Okay, yeah, it's like 69, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this one takes place after that and before X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep.
So we are reviewing this movie instead of Apocalypse, and then Apocalypse will be after this one.
Right.
So yeah, what were your initial thoughts of the movie? What'd you think?
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start with this one. I'll say this. I wanted to like it. I wanted to go into it. I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to appreciate it for what it was. I wanted to see if there was redeeming aspects to it, especially when it comes to plot and story, because I just know people tear this movie apart. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I don't even know if I've seen it in my adult life. But so I wanted to come in with a blank slate and not hear the opinions of others, and just see if I can maybe enjoy it somehow. And I say the first act, I think I enjoyed. It was good, and then I think it kind of just lost me in the second act, and then the plot was just all over the place. Story was really messy. They set up characters, and then they just kind of throw them away, or they'd kill characters, and you're supposed to have emotional attachment to them, but they don't give you a reason to like them, and it's just, I don't know, it was just terrible. And I feel like Wolverine was sidelined in his own origin story with all these other heroes and other characters that they introduced throughout the movie, and I don't know. It was just a mess, I feel like, and I just did not enjoy it. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I remember this was like one of the only superhero movies we owned growing up. I don't know if you knew that.
So
Remember that?
Yeah, I had that in my notes. So
Yeah.
one of the things about background for us is that we did not grow up watching superhero movies that much. I mean, we watched them in, like, theaters and
I
stuff.
think, yeah, mostly it was in the theaters.
But like, our dad was not much of a superhero movie guy. So this was, I think, Man of Steel and this movie was our only superhero movies we owned.
Yeah.
And so we did watch this movie a lot.
And The Dark
when we were
Knight.
kids. I remember.
Much Batman.
Oh yeah. And so we watched this movie a lot when we were kids, and I remember just loving it.
Right. Those, like, the heroes that we grew up watching were Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Like, I remember watching the original, like, the early 80s Superman movies, like the 3 movies. I remember watching all the early Batman movies, and then watching the Dark Knight, or the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Like, I remember watching those in theaters and whatnot. And then Spider-Man, I remember seeing all the Spider-Man movies in theaters. So there were, like, certain movies that we did watch growing up.
And I think a lot of our superhero movie background also came from our grandpa, who loves superhero movies.
Yeah, he had all the X-Men. That's where I first watched them.
I was introduced to X-Men from grandpa, and I remember watching him many times at his house. So
yeah, I guess that was obviously we did at the same time. So yeah, that makes sense. We both were introduced to these movies at the same time.
Yeah,
in the same context.
So yeah, I mean this one came out in 2009, which was about a year after Iron Man. Did Incredible Hulk come out 2009 as well?
No, it was 2008. It was later 2008.
It was 2008. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they both Iron Man and Incredible Hulk.
So not much MCU had happened when this movie came out.
Nope. I think Thor was coming. Well, no, Thor was later. What was the third one?
Later.
When did Iron Man 2 come out? I think it was 2010.
Iron Man 2 with the other one.
I think 2010. But anyways.
Yeah.
Yep. What were your initial thoughts of
so
Wolverine?
Like you said, I kind of wanted to go into it liking it. Like I said, I remember really liking it as a kid, but I mean, this was one of the only superhero movies we were exposed to heavily compared to other superhero movies. So I do have like a nostalgia to it. But yeah, same as you, it has a lot of flaws, and a lot of different aspects to it that just didn't hold up to when I was watching it as a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Your
yeah, we can
standards
get into
change
that a
as you
bit
get older.
for sure. I think it was still a bit of a fun movie. I think some of the action was pretty fun, and yeah, we can kind of get into that kind of stuff.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. Where do we want to start?
So we kind of start where we usually, I guess, just with story, themes, messages. Would we notice there?
Mm-hmm.
You want to
Yeah.
start?
Yeah. I feel like they started the movie really well. I liked the introduction to like young Wolverine, young Logan, or what's his name?
Sabretooth.
Oh well, yeah, Sabretooth. But what's Logan? What's Logan's real name? First name? Not
Oh,
first name. Real name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah.
We got introduced to Jimmy and Victor. That's his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy and
yeah.
Victor as young kids, and they revealed that that Sabretooth was his half brother, and really just kind of set up their relationship and their characters pretty well. I think they're both kind of born in tragedy, with their Logan or Jimmy watching his supposed father die, then to find out that that wasn't his father, and then he goes and kills his real father, who we thought killed his other father, which a little confusing, but I mean it makes sense as you watch it.
Yeah.
But like I thought that was really good, and then they have to run away, and then they have that scene where they meet up in the forest, and or Sabretooth catches up with him, and they have to go and look out for each other, be brothers, and survive on their own. I mean, I don't want to get comic book accuracy right now, but just briefly, in the comics, Sabretooth is not Wolverine's brother. They have no relational connection, so like this was a choice by the writers to do this, and I think it made sense within this this context, this movie. It's a little confusing because Sabretooth is in the first X-Men movie, and him and Wolverine have a pretty good fight, like a pretty enjoyable action scene together, and or a couple, I think, and I think they go, staying on comic book accuracy, Sabretooth in the X-Men movie is way more accurate as far as suit and just overall look than this Sabretooth is. However, with the tone and how they set up this movie, I think it was handled well. It was a good actor choice, and I did like Victor in this movie. I don't like a lot of the character decisions and a lot of the writing for this character, but for the most part, what they set up, I enjoyed. So I liked how they set up these characters. Like, okay, they're brothers. They're gonna have to look out for each other. They're gonna fight alongside each other. Then they have that whole montage of them fighting in various wars, and they have that scene where like back to back, and they go back to back and they fight alongside each other back to back and looking out, like showing, hey, I got your back, brother, and whatnot. So like that was good. The montage scene, like I didn't hate it. Like it just kind of developed both their characters really fast, because then by the end you see, all right, so Victor, that's his name, Victor, right?
Yeah.
Victor, he's okay with killing Wolverine. He's kind of it's kind of bearing on his conscience. He doesn't really think they should be killing the way that they are. Especially you have the scene, I think it was during the Vietnam War, and where the one that got the scene that got them arrested and got them a firing squad, which they survive, of course. But like they use that montage to set up their characters and show, okay, this is where each character is, and then eventually they're going to go off on their own and then have conflicts throughout the movie. It's like, okay, it's fine. I think they should have extended like the first 10 minutes of the movie, maybe first like 6 minutes of the movie should have been a lot longer, I think, just to develop these characters, to get us to love them and to know them. I would, or have like flashbacks, like have them during modern day and then in the past, so like see them, like how they get from the scene in in the forest where they're running away from home to fighting all these wars. Like there's a whole lifespan almost, especially because we know they have a long lifespan. And I think the Civil War is like the first war they fight in. So, and I think takes place in 1800, so it's like around that time. So like they aged really fast, I think it seems like, and then they stopped aging forever, and it's kind of confusing. And I just wish they would have started there and then kept going from there instead of jump ahead and do what they did.
Yeah. I think the whole first like half of the movie almost was just very not a lot was established.
Nope.
There wasn't as far as like plot and stuff, there wasn't really anything established. There's just like all these different random things happening.
Right.
And there was no motive for anything. Nope. It was just kind of like these two guys living their lives and just all these weird things happening, but there's no motive for what they were doing. They were just two guys that had this long life, so they're just going to fight whatever battle they're thrown into, you know?
Yeah.
And they get picked up to fight this mutant battle, or like join these other mutants and fight with them, and like it's just another battle to them. Like there's nothing that was inherently special about them joining that. There's no motive for them to join it,
right?
Other than like them rotting in prison or whatever, which was barely established. So like there's no motive for these two guys and nothing for us to root for until we get about halfway when it was when his girlfriend or whatever died, and he thinks that Sabretooth killed her, so now he has this motive and wants to kill him. And that was halfway through the movie that was right. Established,
right?
And it's like, okay, so now Wolverine has a motive, and that's
and
like,
it was
new claws and all this stuff, and
it was a motive that wasn't really earned or set up very well.
Yeah,
it's like, he has a girlfriend. Oh, she's dead.
Even the claws, like when he got the metal claws, oh, I guess that, okay, so I guess he didn't have the metal claws with what I'm talking about. So like, yeah, he gets the metal in him because he wants to make sure he can kill Victor.
Yeah, he wants to take revenge.
To overpower him. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It wasn't really like an earned thing. It was just like all of a sudden, I'm gonna kill my brother.
Yeah, exactly.
I think most likely it was him that killed her.
Right, and that's the thing is like the whole. I think Victor, even like his motivations aren't explained till later on, where he talks with Stryker and Stryker tells him, "Oh yeah, we ran the test and you wouldn't survive the procedure." So he wanted the adamantium. Adamantium. I'm gonna butcher that this whole time. I even tried. I practiced it before we started. Adamantium. I'm still. My bad. Okay, adamantium, and I should know that. Where was I? I don't know where I was going. He wanted that. The adamantium. Right. He wanted it so that he could have special abilities and be stronger and more indestructible and whatnot. It's like, okay, that was his motivation, but they did not set that up early at all, or even make it seem like that's what Victor wanted. Like there wasn't anything indicating that he wanted to be more powerful. He wanted to. There wasn't a flaw in like, I'm not able to do this, like, because he even beats Wolverine like that first scene after he kills Wolverine's girlfriend. They have that fight and he pretty much beats him. He beats Logan. And it's like, okay, so he's not even like less powerful. And obviously Logan didn't have the procedure done by then. But anyways, like there was just no. I just think they did a poor job writing his character and giving us reason to see like. I
think the only reason they gave us of why he would have done that is they kind of like hinted that he was evil by doing a few evil things.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
it.
So it was just like this guy's evil. That's why he did it. That
right.
That was like the motivation.
Exactly.
And it's like that's just not like he's not gonna kill his brother's girlfriend.
Right.
Because he clearly cares about his brother and he loves his brother.
Yeah.
Even though they disagree.
Right.
So he's not gonna just go and kill his brother's girlfriend just because they wanted to lure him in or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
There's something else I was gonna. Oh yeah, so like one complaint that I've heard about this movie, and I definitely saw when we watched it, is that there's basically 3 stories that are happening in this movie. There's the origin story of Wolverine. Okay, who is Wolverine? Where did he come from? what's his roots, and how did he become the Wolverine. It's like, okay, that's one story thread, and then they have a revenge story within that. It's like, oh, he wants to take revenge upon his brother because of what his brother did, and then he finds out it's Stryker, so he wants to go after Stryker and whatnot. So like, there's a revenge plot there, and then there's a third one where it's basically an X-Men team up movie where they're hunting down mutants doing this, working for Stryker and going on these missions and whatnot. And you have that story, and so as you're watching this, it's like these three stories are happening, and I think they're all poorly written and poorly told, and they don't really go together well. And I feel like the writers just completely forgot that this isn't a Wolverine origin story. Instead, it feels like an X-Men movie. It feels like another team up movie with the X-Men. Wolverine's involved, and he gets sidelined. I feel like for a lot of it because they introduce so many characters, like it's ridiculous. Like how I don't even know how many characters they introduced, but it's way too many. And it completely overshadowed Wolverine and like the origin story that they were telling that was really, I felt like they started really well, but then this kind of fell flat. And even Wolverine, like I feel like even Hugh Jackman, like there were some parts where I feel like he didn't even like want to be there. Like he wasn't as as enthusiastic as he usually is, or excited about like playing the Wolverine characters.
But one thing I noticed about his character in this movie is he was in his own origin story, he was just a pawn.
Yep, exactly.
He was being manipulated the entire movie.
Right.
Everything he did, like I said, there was no real motivation for him. We never understood what his motivation was to do anything. I mean, what I kind of found in the end of the movie was that his real motive was, okay, he just doesn't want to have to kill people, and that's his motive, and that's why he's doing these different things. That's why he's in these different circumstances. Is he wants to do the right thing, and he's just trying not to have to kill people, but he's just being manipulated this whole movie into killing people, into doing these things that he doesn't want to do.
Right.
And it kind of shows to his character of being a hero and not wanting to kill these people and wanting to do the right thing. And he does always seem to be on the right side and seems to have like a strong moral compass.
Right. But, he does, yeah. But even then, like, what does he have to overcome? Like, his distrust of Stryker? And like, I don't know. Like, it just, there wasn't, just things were happening to, you're right, he was a pawn. Like, things were happening to him, and it just kind of, that's what was driving his character. And then at the end, when he finds out that his girlfriend was actually a mutant and she lied to him and manipulated him, he just kind of walks away from it all, and like, that's it. And then, but it was just, I don't know, just poorly done in a lot of ways.
I think one of the things that he was doing was one of the things that he overcame was that when he went to Canada, as he was hiding from his problems, and like that's why he went there,
right?
But he ended up like,
but even then, like, what problems? Like the fact that he was part of a super team, or of a team of superheroes who were
so it wasn't like hiding from his problems. It was just trying to hide from them. Really, was to
have his own life,
a peaceful life. And
it's like how many?
It's not even like a downfall of his, or anything.
And how much screen time did we get of his girlfriend? It was like 5 minutes maybe, and she says a few lines, and she has no character development, and she's just there. And the only reason that we're supposed to care about her is because we care about Wolverine, and they're probably relying on the fact that like we know this character from the other movies, and so like we have an emotional attachment to him already. And it's like, oh, he has a girlfriend and she dies, so like we're supposed to like believe that this is something that we should care about, and like we should feel that we should get emotional over. But it's like, no, like, there's no reason. Like, we don't know her. We've just been introduced to her 5 minutes ago, and now she's dead.
And then bringing her back to life was also completely pointless. Another thing that just, her being a mutant and her coming back to life both pulled away from Wolverine.
Yeah, 100%. So I feel like we were like, overall we were robbed of a really good Wolverine origins story. That had, I think it had a lot of good things going for it. It had a great cast. Like I feel like overall the cast was really good. I can set aside the fact that Sabretooth wasn't very comic book accurate. I can set that aside and say, okay, this was set up well. I like their dynamic. between the two actors, and I think that there's a lot of things that could have been good about it, but then it turned into a big mess. And there's a lot of reasons why that could have been. I don't know why there weren't more people, like, even behind the scenes looking at this and saying, yeah, this is bad, like, we're getting off track, like, like we need to fix some of this. I've heard that one reason why this might be is because of the writers' strike back in 2007 and 8. This had, like, the production, this was being produced during the writers' strike, and so a lot of the poor writing could have been because of that. They just didn't have the time or the talent or whatever to work on this. I also know they went through a lot of writers before the strike, like, as they were preparing the movie, getting green light in the movie. They had a bunch of writers come in and then leave the project just because of creative differences and whatnot. I think there was just a lot of things going wrong with it early on that could have led to the reason why it was so bad. Yeah. Also, one thing that's interesting, is kind of unrelated, but I don't know if you knew this. The entire movie was leaked on the internet about, like, a couple weeks before it was released.
Really?
and as it was leaked, and I think like 19 million people or something saw it before it got taken down. But wow. The early reactions, yeah, that's crazy. The early reactions for it was this was not good. Like, this is pretty bad. And in the movie had $150 million budget, which even back then that's pretty big. It's a pretty big budget for a superhero movie. 150 million, and it only made 375 million at the box office, which, you know, accounting for marketing and the money that goes to the theaters and whatnot, like, they pretty much didn't make a profit on it. So, which is just as crazy. I don't know what all went wrong. Like, and we're not even done. Like, there's more that we have to say about this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
where do you want to go from here?
I think. All right. So I think since we're talking about the story still, I think now would be a good time to transition into Deadpool. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with him.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't even know where to start with Deadpool. I mean, this movie is just bad enough, and then you get to that Deadpool scene. Like, they set up Wade Wilson, which was like, it was great. Like, he was one good part about the early parts of the movie. You know, he acted like Deadpool. You know, he was annoying, but in a funny way. And Ryan Reynolds, like, just perfect casting for him. And, like, so in a way, like, this was good because it set up a later opportunity for Ryan Reynolds to redeem himself as Deadpool. And redeem himself after Green Lantern and whatnot. But so, like, and then use those as funny jokes for the Deadpool movies. But yeah, I don't know. What do you want to say about Deadpool?
I thought he was perfect.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought he was perfect, no flaws, no.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It's great.
First, okay,
super accurate.
Where did the swords come from?
Yeah, I know. It's like, how does he bend his arms? I don't.
Yeah, he's bending his arms, and then all of a sudden, this long sword, as long as his arm, just comes out of his arm.
Right.
What in the world?
Oh my goodness.
He can be mind controlled. Like, he's basically a robot that's just being controlled. So he's not even his own being that can think.
No,
they literally sewed up his mouth.
Yep.
The merc with the mouth, they sewed up his mouth.
Right. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Which, I mean,
they gave him
that could be
weird black eyes.
Right. That could be because of the writer's strike, and they just weren't able to write lines for him, and they didn't have enough time. So let's just seal his mouth.
Maybe
I don't know. But yeah, and then they gave him all the superpowers, and then he died.
Oh yeah.
And then, like, that fight was like so quick, like, and pointless. Like, why did Wolverine go up on top of the tower and then fight him, and then Sabretooth's like, okay, we're buddies now, and then they fight, and it lasts not very long, and they kind of have no problem killing him. And it was odd. Didn't really. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even think about that. Like, with Sabretooth just forgiving each other. I mean, he's like, I didn't actually kill your girlfriend, so we're
Right,
good
so
now,
we're
right?
good,
Because
right?
we're brothers. We're brothers.
Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh
And
man.
Wolverine's just cool. Wolverine's just cool with it.
Right, he is.
But yeah, Deadpool was an absolute catastrophe. I don't know
Yep.
what that thing was.
Yeah, like there had to have been someone behind the scenes, a writer, an actor, a producer that like should have said, I don't think we're doing this justice. Like, Deadpool's a pretty popular character in the comics. Do we think that people are actually going to like this, or are they just going to like the fact that we're including a Deadpool character in live action? So they'll look over everything else. Oh, we'll put an end credit scene in the end and kind of set up him for the future.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yeah,
then again, it's like you set up. Okay, but what were they set? We'll talk about this in the after hours. First off, if you want to support us on Patreon, the Powell Bros, and we talk about all things going on in the world of film, movies, stories, and specifically right now we're kind of talking a lot about Marvel and whatnot, and just seeing a lot of the problems that are going on there. But we also talk about different cameos that we see in the movies, like Stan Lee, and talk about end credit scenes. So if you want those little fun nuggets, go ahead and support us on Patreon.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, like, what were they setting up with that? I don't know.
But yeah, the like he didn't have a suit. He had like they gave him black eyes to tease like here's his diamond black eyes.
He's kind of like Deadpool. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and then with all the other powers and
Right. And the only reason they introduced all these other characters throughout the movie was to set up this Deadpool character where he has all these powers, like Cyclops. Like, first off, they introduced Cyclops, and he had no character development. He was just there and brought in for the plot, and just so that Deadpool can reveal that he has the ability to turn on and off Cyclops' eyes, because he doesn't have any weaknesses. Like Stryker said that, like, we're gonna give the pool all these powers, all the abilities of the mutants, but without their weaknesses. And so that's why he had Cyclops' eyes. And Wolverine's healing ability, and somehow swords. What else? Oh, the teleportation.
Yeah,
which is
I don't know.
just bad.
Just complete disaster there.
Yep.
Yeah, so comic book accuracy, might as well talk about that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Talking about Deadpool, like a 0 out of 10.
Oh, easy. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, Deadpool, 0 out of 10 for sure for comic book accuracy. And like we mentioned Sabretooth, which I was fine with the decisions they made. I thought it was a good origin for his character.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even though connecting him to Wolverine wasn't necessarily in the comics, as far as they weren't brothers, but they are in this, it's fine. But
yeah.
So one thing that this movie was based off of a handful of Wolverine comics that are very popular. One being Project X, and Project X is basically the comic about how he got the this is gonna be a running joke. Adamantium. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Adamantium.
Yeah.
How he got the claws and everything, or the metal claws. And what they pretty much did in the comics is what they did with Deadpool. He's mind controlled. He's at the mercy of Stryker, and he's sent off on various missions after he gets these abilities. But throughout the comic book story, which ran for like a dozen volumes issues, I think, they have glimpses of his past and then the present. So they developed his character, showing like where he came from, what's his origin, and then how he's becoming the Wolverine, and then eventually he learns that he was being manipulated all this time, and I've not read the comics, but I'm pretty sure he eventually he's broken free from being controlled, and he goes on to be the Wolverine that we know. And it was a great story, and I think there's a lot of things that they could have done with that, but like the scene where Stryker in the movie says, "Let's erase his memory, so that he doesn't remember this. That was basically the retcon of the comic, because in the comic he would have already done, the fact that Wolverine heard him say that was the retcon, because in the comic he actually did erase his memory and he did mind control him and use him as a weapon. That's why it's Weapon X. And did I say Project X earlier? I might have said that. It's Weapon X. I don't know what I said, but if I said it wrong, correcting myself. It's Weapon X. Yeah, so that was kind of like, oh, we're teasing, like we're getting inspiration from the comics, but we're actually not going that route. We're going to have him remember everything and whatnot, and which within that was, I mean, for the story that they set up, it made sense. But we can get into this a little bit later. But as far as like things I would have done differently, like I would have probably focused more on that story and then had the stuff from his past, because stuff from the good things about it was from his past and him just being the Wolverine. I think those were good aspects of it. And like, you have Berserker Wolverine, which we see in Logan, where he just goes insane. Like that was from Weapon X. So I think they could have definitely used that, but they didn't. What's funny as we think about this, like this movie, like there were some darker themes to it, and like some things where it's like they were like probably I'm sure there was an idea to make this rated R at one point, but they didn't. And I feel like I might have even heard that, but like Logan and the Wolverine, those two, I think the Wolverine not being the greatest, but better than this, those two movies were great and handled the Wolverine character very well. And I think there's a lot of things that they did right there that they could have done in this movie that would have made this movie a lot better. But yeah, I felt. But comic book accuracy, so they have the Weapon X was a comic, and then one that was actually a more recent comic called I think it's called Origins, and that was where they drew a lot of inspiration from him being the character introduction at the beginning of him as a young kid, and the stuff with his father and finding out that that wasn't his real father and whatnot. A lot of that was inspired by those comics, and from what I've once again, I've not read those, but I've heard really good things about them, and I feel like there's a lot of things they could have taken from that and focused more on the origin side. Because one thing they did in this movie is so many times they would set up stories or set up characters and then just kind of throw it away. And and I feel like they tease a lot. They tease Deadpool and then they ruin it. They tease the origin story of Wolverine and the montage of them in the wars, and like, which would have been a really good story, and then it just doesn't matter. And then they separate the two separate, and then the story continues, but continues to be the mess that it is. But it was bad. And then there was various other comics that they based it on that were really good and are very popular among Wolverine fans. They just didn't do a good job adapting. So as far as the comic book accuracy, there's just a lot of issues with it, and it's just kind of all over the place, and just like how the movie is. Yeah, Gambit is another one. I think he was poorly done. Oh yeah. He was just kind of lame, like a lame character. I don't know. And Gambit's a lot cooler in the comics, and I think should have just been handled differently from all the way down to his his appearance. Yeah. And they were actually setting up a Gambit movie with Channing Tatum as Gambit, which I think it might have actually been pretty good, but that never happened, of course, and never will.
Well, he supposedly he's gonna show up in Deadpool.
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard that too. So maybe that'd be fun.
Yeah. So what do you think of the actual main villain and just his arc and
Stryker?
Yeah, Stryker.
Stryker. Yeah, I don't know. I think
he was a pretty, I would say, lame villain.
Pretty lame.
Even just his character is supposed to, I think, kind of, well, the way they portrayed him was just kind of just like a very lame weak guy, and he hides behind all these different weapons that he makes and stuff.
And for some reason, he's really obsessed with Wolverine and and kind of in weird ways sometimes. I don't know.
He has a hate for mutants and just wants to use them for weapons and use them for his own interests. Was his son in this one?
No, so they mentioned his son.
They just talked to him. There's another one where he comes out, right?
His son is in, I think it's the second one. I think it's X2, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Because X2 is a better X-Men or Wolverine origin movie than this one, because they do deal a lot with his past, and Stryker's is, I think, the main villain in that movie. It's been so long since I've seen it, and X2 is, I think, I would say probably one of the best. From what I can remember and what I've heard, it's one of the best of the X-Men movies. But yeah, his son is a mutant, or was a mutant. He had a lot of powers and was very powerful.
He thought of him as like a freak, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was just where his like hate for mutants came, and then he's like, oh, because he's like in the government or whatever. He's like, oh, I can use them as weapons, and then just started manipulating them and using them for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, his character arc is just very shallow in this movie.
Very
There's
shallow.
Not much to it.
Yeah, and even his motivation, like throughout the movie, isn't very clear. And like, I don't know, he hates mutants, but he's still working with mutants and using mutants to find other mutants in order to make this weapon. And what's one thing that really bugged me was there's a lot of plot holes in this movie, but the fact that he makes it very clear that Wolverine is indestructible. He makes it clear he's indestructible before he gets the adamantium, but then when he gets the adamantium, he's even more indestructible. And then he literally tells that one mutant guy to, go and take his head off, go kill him, like, go destroy him. It's like, you just established that he's indestructible and he can't be beaten, and you're telling this guy to shoot him and kill him. It's like, he's not going to die. You're not going to be able to kill him. And there was multiple times in the movie where it's like, we should be concerned about Wolverine. We should think he's in danger, but he's not, because he's indestructible. Like when Gambit saves him after that smoke tower, falls down. Gambit comes and breaks open the concrete in order to save Logan. It's like, who cares? If that would have fallen on him, he would have just gotten up and been fine. Like, doesn't make any sense. He's indestructible. Like, he can't die unless, I guess, you take his head off. Which, even then, it's like, can you actually take off his head if he has adamantium? It's like, well, maybe if Deadpool or his metal cuts him, because Wolverine does that to him and cuts his head off. So apparently that's the only way you can kill him. But then, even then, they establish in the end credits that doesn't actually kill him. So it's just ridiculous. Anyways, like, he is very just shallow, bland villain. There wasn't much to him, and they kind of wanted to tell a little bit of a story and saying like, oh yeah, his son was a mutant, but they don't really give much more to that. And
I don't think they mention it in this movie that he's a mutant.
Yeah, the general.
They talk about him a few times, but do they actually say that he's a mutant?
I think the general does, and that's
okay.
One of the reasons why he kills him, because he doesn't want others to find out that the reason he's doing this is because
he says
his son
like
was your
mutant. Son or I don't think he hints at it.
So
I think he's like talking about the mutants, and he's like your son or something like along those lines.
Right.
But yeah, and then I think we can get into like the acting and the casting. Like with the acting aspect of it, like you were saying, because of the writing, we can kind of see that coming out in the performances, and how because we know that like Ryan Reynolds hated the Deadpool character that they made,
right?
And so I think he's just a really good actor. So I think the Wade Wilson part was really good, like you had said.
Yep.
And then the Deadpool part, I don't even know if that was him.
It wasn't, actually. Well, it was.
It wasn't? Okay.
Well, it was another act. Like, there was a stunt guy who's like a famous stunt guy, I think, or he might be an actor as well, that was kind of doing the Deadpool, from what I've heard. So I think they used his face, but that's like really it. Ryan Reynolds' face filled with makeup.
A few of the close-ups were probably his face.
Yeah, but I think the body was not Ryan Reynolds, from what I've heard.
But yeah, like you said with Wolverine, we talked about Wolverine's casting in the last one a little bit, Or no, we didn't. We talked about him in the after hours.
Oh, right.
But yeah, with just Wolverine's casting, what do you think of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
Yeah, I think he is an excellent Wolverine. He's not as gritty and rough as his comic book as the comic book Wolverine is, but it's fine. Like I think that they do a really good job of creating this character and adapting him into this universe, and obviously there's a lot more movies that came before this that really developed him and set him up and made him into the Wolverine he is. But I think in this one, like overall, like I said, I think there were some scenes where he just didn't seem as interested. Like Hugh Jackman didn't. But for the most part, like I think he's just an excellent Wolverine, and I don't really see anyone else playing him better than he does.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in Deadpool 3 with the suit and just see how he does it with the actual suit, because that's always the issue is like it's not directly adapted from the comics. There's some comics where he doesn't really have the yellow suit in that, and I think it's that but for the most part the suit is just non-existent, but I think that's okay. And I think in this one they do a really good job just showing us the origin of the character and even him getting his leather jacket, which I could go on about that. Like it was just kind of I hate when origin and prequel movies give very lame reasons. Like even him getting the name of Wolverine was really lame. Him getting the leather jacket was really lame. I hate when the movies like that do it. Like Solo, A Star Wars Story is a great example. Like how Solo got his name was really dumb. How he got his blaster, really dumb. But that's I digress.
Well, with Wolverine, so his name came from Cuckoo Cachoo or whatever.
Cuckoo Cachoo. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And,
it means
and
the
it's
Wolverine.
from his girlfriend telling this story that we're supposed to care about and even understand, and we don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of lame. But
yeah.
And so
No,
it's from
I
this.
think
He got his name from his girlfriend that we know nothing about and we have no reason to care about, and it was just it was dumb. But
yeah. So as far as like his casting, I agree. I think he does great as Wolverine, and we don't get like the more comic accurate suits and stuff, but his performances are great,
and he was he was well fit
with Logan.
Like he bulked up for this one, like compared to the other X-Men movies. Like he was bulkier, and I think that was really good.
Yeah, that was probably because they planned to do a lot of like shirtless scenes. So which there weren't many as far as like actually being shirtless. I mean, he was in the tank top a lot, but anyways. Well, it was like when he got the claws, like his big reveal. Of becoming Wolverine.
Right.
That was probably why, because they knew like, oh, he's gonna be in a tank. And,
he needs to look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other characters that you don't want to talk about? I mean, there's so many characters. So
there's a lot. Yeah.
I don't know if we don't have to go over all of them.
Yeah, I think casting overall was good. I don't remember what Stryker's character was really like in the other X-Men movies because it's been so long, so I can't really comment much on that.
I remember a bit, and I think he's a very good younger version of. I don't remember the actor, but I remember what he looked like and like how he talked and stuff. And I remember, like, I think he's a very good younger version of him.
And then they have,
and I think that's what they're mostly basing his casting off of, was more a younger version of that guy, rather than. I don't know much about his comic accuracy, but
I don't actually either. That's one. I didn't really look into much, but it was good. And then like I said, Sabretooth. I can't remember the actor's name. I know him and Hugh Jackman did a movie called Kate and Leopold.
Lee Schreiber.
Lee Schreiber. Yeah. So they did like a romance comedy together, and I remember enjoying that movie, and I like them together. I'm saying, and
it's a good dynamic.
Yeah, and then
for sure.
Yeah, the lead actress, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess she was a good cast, but didn't have character, so can't say much about her. And then, all the other characters like Dominic, the dude from Lord of the Rings and Lost. I like him as an actor, so I thought he was good, and even though he didn't have much to do, and kind of died a lame death. Will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas, he was fine. Yeah, and like I said, Gambit. I don't think he was. I mean,
I think for what they were going for, he was good for what they were going for, but
for sure,
what they were going for wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else to say really about acting.
Yeah.
Do we want?
What do you think
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna transition. So if you have something to say,
no, I was gonna transition too. So
I was gonna transition to CGI and
yeah.
visuals.
So was I. That's like, man, like, let's tear this apart one last time, and then let's maybe start talking about some of the good things about the movie, if there are any good things. I mean, I have some, but
okay,
because we've been.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay, well, we've been annihilating this movie, and I think I'm gonna lower my score because of it. I just, sorry, yeah, I don't know. It was bad, but yeah, CGI. What do you think?
Okay, I did not remember his claws being CGI.
Yeah,
like because like we were saying, we were young. Like I don't remember watching this in my adult life.
Yeah,
I guess Maribel, my wife, did say that we did watch it since I've known her. So, but I don't remember that. I probably wasn't paying much attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I had seen it.
Yeah, I didn't remember the claws being CGI, and you can really tell.
They're like cartoon-ish, like it's like a Looney Tunes movie, like where like in a live action real world, and then you have these animated characters. Like it's what the claws look like for a handful of scenes. Like
there was
the introduction.
There's
of the
a few scenes you can tell they were actual practicals.
Yeah, for sure.
But they were CGI the whole movie.
It was really bad.
Okay, it was terrible.
Yeah.
The other scene that I noticed that was so bad was the fight with Gambit when he was destroying the ladders as they're falling down. Even as a kid, I remember that being cringe.
Yep, I remember that too. Exactly.
And watching that, it's just like, what in the world is happening? Like that's not physics. That's not physics at all.
Disappearing. Oh man, dissolving into thin air.
It made no sense.
No. The whole fight just looked fake. And so here's one thing that I liked about the movie, but even within that, there's just things within this that I did not like. But I liked a lot of the action scenes. There were some really fun action scenes, like the helicopter one and the motorcycle.
Was a good scene.
That was good. But even in that, like. There's just some weird CGI that just made it stand out like a sore thumb, and it's just like, so I feel like there were a lot of really good action scenes, but a lot of them are ruined by bad CGI. Like if they could have just done more practical effects or less green screen, more less CGI, or just put more work into the CGI. Like you have $150 million budget. I don't know where the money went. It might have just been because of the strikes that they had to bloat the budget, but and not that 150 million's that much, but. And for a superhero movie, it's really not. It's kind of average, but I feel like this movie felt like a little more of a low budget superhero movie, smaller scale than others, but they still put a lot of money into it. And the CGI just was bad. When it stands out that much, and when you have other movies around this time that don't look nearly as bad, it's rough. And I just feel like they didn't put much work into it. His claws were bad. A lot of the action scenes, while good, just kind of were almost ruined by a lot of the action, or a lot of the CGI, which is disappointing. Yeah, anything else along those lines?
No, I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell me the other things you liked about the movie.
Yeah. Well, this isn't much. I'd say the music score was like, it wasn't distracting. Yeah. I think it was good. I remember kind of the opening scenes were good.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a high score. Score was. I gave a high score to the score. The score is great. It's good. It's fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was good. Just thinking about themes, like there's themes of death and resurrection. Wolverine had to die and he had to be destroyed. Like Stryker said, even if it's a little lame. Just how he said it, but he had in order for you to, what does he say? In order for you to receive these powers, I'm butchering it, I have to destroy you or something. It's like, okay, fine. And he literally dies. He flatlines before he's resurrected and has the power. So there's death and resurrection there. He had to die in order to be reborn as the Wolverine. He dies in the end, sort of, by like his memory being wiped, and then and he becomes the character
there
that we
was
know.
there was like the death and resurrection, but what I didn't like about those scenes is he wasn't sacrificing himself.
No,
it's just him getting killed and then resurrecting.
Right.
Like, because
he was a pawn, as you said.
Yeah. Like we were talking about Dark Knight of the Soul and stuff. Like, I didn't see any Dark Knight of the Soul.
The only thing I could think of was when he found out that his girlfriend betrayed him. Like, that was kind of...
Which is pretty early.
It's pretty early, and it didn't really do a whole lot for his character.
Yeah, so, no, for sure.
Wasn't.
And then so usually with the Dark Knight of the Soul, there's usually a sacrifice at that point or right after it.
Right.
And there just wasn't any of that.
No.
He does die in the end and then comes back, but it was almost like they had to write that in to kind of make the original X-Men make sense.
Yep.
And with X2, because he doesn't remember in X2, and that's when his memory kind of comes back.
Right.
But that, I feel like that's the only reason they killed him or shot him in the head for a second.
Pretty much.
To have him lose his memory.
Right.
Like, it felt very forced.
Exactly. Yeah. The other theme was just like seeing the differences between Wolverine and Sabretooth, and how Wolverine is so like you kind of like just war theory and just wrestling with when is it right to kill, especially in times of war. When is it right when should you withhold that, when do you show mercy, and just seeing that struggle. Even later on in the movie we kind of see it develop a little more, but not well. So it's just giving a little bit of credit as far as just seeing that dynamic that I think they set up well. Didn't follow through, because in Logan, after he finds out that his girlfriend's dead, he's okay with killing, because he goes around and kills a bunch of people, even though they're killing him and trying to kill him and whatnot. But the fact that they're both natural born killers, like, that was the point. You have Sabretooth and Wolverine, like, even from the beginning of the movie, like, they're both natural killers, like, and Sabretooth, he satisfies that desire. He gives into it, while Logan is holding back, and he fights against the urge and tries to do the right thing, and he has a moral compass, and Sabretooth does.
And that's kind of the stuff that I was talking about earlier,
right?
Just giving credit to him, and there was that cool dynamic between the two of them, how Sabretooth was always giving in to the desire, not even fighting it. Like, he just goes right in, and then and then Wolverine is always trying to fight it.
So credit is due, which there isn't much due to this movie. I know they wanted to make a lot more of these origin movies. That's why they called it X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think they should have just called it Wolverine. They did kind of do that with the next one, with The Wolverine, which will be interesting to watch that movie after this. I mean, later on when we do watch it. That's probably next season, I think.
Yeah, that's next season.
Yeah, they wanted to do more. It didn't do well in the box office at all, and this is coming off of the third X-Men movie, by the way, which we probably should mention. The third X-Men movie is also terrible, and it didn't do very well, and it was, so then they had this one, which another just terrible movie, and then I think First Class is the one that comes after this, which we watched last week, and that movie obviously did really well and was just successful. But
really,
didn't it? Because it came out in 2011, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's right. That's crazy. I guess I never connected that.
Yeah, and you look at that, like, that movie is just way better than this one. Even it looks better. Like, it's special effects, CGI. I mean, it's like a couple years later, but still, it's just better written, better writing, and just better special effects and whatnot. So anyways, we didn't get more origin films. I mean, First Class is kind of an origin film. We talked about this last week. It's an origin of Eric and Xavier, which we can also talk about CGI in this movie. Going back to CGI, Xavier, what in the world happened there? Like, they tried to de-age him back in 2009, where de-aging was not a thing. De-aging is more of a thing today, and could have been done better.
Yeah.
But they tried to de-age him, and it looks awful. And I still don't understand why he was even there. Like, how did he know to go find them at that place, or that Wolverine was going to let them go? It didn't make any sense. And
well, so if you put it in what they did with First Class.
Yeah.
So technically he does have the. Oh wait, no, it got destroyed.
Cerebro. It got destroyed in Apocalypse.
So
wait, did it get destroyed in First Class?
It got, because it was like a makeshift version
of
Cerebro.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one got destroyed. So he doesn't have Cerebro. So that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So
plus, when if they made First Class right after this, they decided to shoot Xavier in the back and make him paralyzed.
Right.
But he's standing just fine in this movie,
right.
which is technically supposed to be. Yeah, this is technically supposed to be the same timeline as the two movies.
Technically,
and yeah, he looks extremely older. He's bald, and
yeah, the X-Men timeline is such a mess. And technically, Days of Future Past fixes everything, so you can technically say that X-Men Origins is a different timeline and something, yada yada yada. But you even have Emma Frost in this one, which is definitely not the same Emma Frost that we get in First Class. Completely different character. Which they don't call her Emma Frost.
I was gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the same character.
Yeah,
as the one.
I guess I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So same powers. So
right. She has more character in this one than the one.
And she's blonde and yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that was. She is just another character just thrown into this movie with the whole bunch of others that they had.
Yep, just to drive the plot. And yeah. Sort of. Oh, brother. Yeah, I think I think we've beat a dead horse too many times, so we should probably just let this one die, unless you have other thoughts. Don't make bad movies. I think we can write good stories, write good characters.
For sure.
For our audience, if you want to watch this one, please go ahead, but we warned you. We've given you our review, and there's not much left.
If you ignore the story and you just look at the visuals of oh, this is cool. You can maybe enjoy it.
Wolverine walks away from an explosion. Yeah. So, anyways, do we want to move on to the ranking and rating?
Yeah, we can wrap it up with the ranking and rating.
All right. So I'm really curious what rating you're giving this one.
I had a higher rating to start just because I thought when I watched it, I thought, oh, this is like a fun movie. Like I'm saying, like if you watch it as just like a fun movie, like it can be fun. But when you actually look into it and you realize like the plot and the stories and how none of it makes sense, none of it works.
Right.
There's no motivation for the hero. The villain is just very bland. You have so many characters just thrown in there for no reason. And even the love interest was just there for no reason. Or it could have been worthwhile putting that in there, but the way they handled it was just very poorly, and the character was just thrown away. Then she comes back, and just none of it made any sense. I'll just throw the number that I have right now is 5.5.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is generous.
That is generous, but I mean, I gave it about the same. I gave I originally gave it like a 5.3. No, I think I gave it 4.9. And I raised it a little bit, just thinking through where we're at. Like we have, like Captain America: First Avenger was 6.4, and like it had its problems, but it was not nearly as bad as this one. So man, I gave it 5.6, but I'm even thinking about going down on that. Like,
I'm thinking maybe 5.
Let's do like a 5.3. We got to think fair. Because we got to think about other movies. Like, is this going to be the worst movie that we'll watch? I don't think so. I'm sure there's worse ones that we will go through, maybe. But
I think we can't judge the rating off of other movies either.
No, of course. But we are creating a scale, and we're trying to fit all our movies in there and trying to be generous and honest.
No, this might end up being one of the worst.
It might. Well, yeah, I think one of the worst for sure. Yeah. So, I don't know. You said 5. You do 5.1.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do a 5.1, which puts it at number 3. Number 1, X-Men First Class. Number 2, Captain America: First Avenger. And number 3, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah. These titles, man.
Yeah. That was.
I think that is it. That was something. But I think that is it for X-Men Origins.
Yes. So
Wolverine.
our next episode will be X-Men Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Another
For sure.
Notoriously bad
X-Men
film.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
It might be a breath of fresh air.
And then after that, you guys can look forward to Howard the Duck.
I have not seen Howard the Duck, and I am excited to watch it.
I've tried to watch it a couple times. Twice I've tried to watch it, and I could not get through it. So
really?
I will be forced to get all the way through it.
Awesome. Oh, can't wait.
So
I don't
it'll
know
be
what
a
to
little
expect,
while before
honestly.
we have a really great movie. It'll be a little while.
Yeah, that's okay.
I think. We'll see. We'll see how Apocalypse is. I think.
Yeah. I think I do
there'll
think
be a lot to say there, and
I think Apocalypse is better than people say. Like, I think it's kind of an underrated film, so it'll be interesting. But
sure.
I do.
It'll be a fun one.
It does
review.
have its issues, but yeah.
Yeah.
Spy, do you want to close us out?
Yeah. Everybody, thank you for listening. This has been our review of X-Men Origins Wolverine. We enjoy giving you these reviews to help you better understand movies and better look into what makes a good movie and what makes a bad movie. So continue listening, and you can give us support on patreon.com and listen to more there, more of us talking. And yeah, we appreciate your support, and give us a 5-star review.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
This is the Pal Bros Movie Reviews.
Signing out.